I'm not going to talk about the Leicester game. I'm not seeing it back yet. I'll deal with that tomorrow. But instead I want to talk about the messaging from the board in regards to David Moyes' position as West Ham United manager. Or should I say the backing of David Moyes as manager of West Ham United. And let's rewind to last Sunday. We got beat by Crystal Palace straight away, immediately, Sunday night, on the reliable website. David Moyes is 100% safe. He's going nowhere. The board back him. That's their man. They're backing their manager. We go on to Wednesday evening. We get beat by Blackburn. We're out the Carabao Cup. Thursday morning, straight away, again, Moyes is safe. His job's safe. He's going nowhere. We're not sacking David Moyes. Moyes is the man. Going into the Leicester game on Friday, the reliable websites put out the news. Moyes is safe regardless of what happens against Leicester City. Even if we lose, even if we get thumped against Leicester, he ain't getting sacked. Moyes is here to stay. And no matter what happens against Leicester, Moyes will be in the dugout for the game against Arsenal on Boxing Day. And the messaging couldn't be clearer. Now, a man under pressure, if you agree he was under pressure going into the Crystal Palace game, let's go back a week ago. He was going into a game, a home game against Crystal Palace, a team that hadn't won away all season in the bottom half of the Premier League. Following it up, we were at home on Wednesday night in the Carabao Cup against the second team of a championship club. It was obvious Blackburn were going to field a second team. And then we were going to follow that up with Leicester City, who were in bloody good form going into that game. 5 clean sheets in their last 6, moving up the table. And that's the difference. Then Moyes says, oh, we're on the same points as Leicester, so we must be doing something right. I mean, statistically, factually, 100% correct. We were both on 14 points. The big difference is the form. Leicester were going up, we were going down. That's why we were on the same points. And now, lo and behold, we've switched over. Anyway. But as a manager under pressure, that's got to be ideal fixtures for you. 3 home games in the space of 8 days. The first fixture was incredibly winnable against Crystal Palace. You win that. You go into the Wednesday night game against the second team of a championship club in the Cup. Get that game won. And then you've got a little bit of confidence. You build up a little bit of momentum. Some players have found a little bit of form going into the game against Leicester. And a point would have been acceptable. 4 points against Palace and Leicester would have been good for us. As a manager under pressure, I don't think you could have asked for better fixtures. I mean, yes, you could have. You could have said, well, can we have, I don't know, Nottingham Forest and Everton at home, please, and can we play a National League side at home in the Cup? Of course, they can be better. But being realistic, that was as good as it's going to get. 3 home games. We didn't even have to leave London. All season, we've not had much time on the training field because of our adventures in European football, including the qualifier when we had to play Viborg at the start of the season. It's not been ideal. Time on the training pitch has been limited. So this week, there you go. Use it. Do something. Let's see something. Well, we saw something. 3 defeats. Out the Cup and 2 losses in the Premier League. But yet, the messaging from the board couldn't be clearer. Let's say hypothetically. Now, I don't like this. You've got 3 games to save yourself. I made that clear. I don't like the cycle. You end up in it until he leaves. The ending becomes inevitable. And the board haven't said he's got 3 games. I'm just discussing a hypothetical situation here. And that is, if today we got told he's got the next 3 games. So Arsenal, Brentford, Leeds. He's got them. In a normal season, forget the World Cup, in a normal season, you would hear that and you say, okay, right, not ideal, but I get it. Let's see where we are. And if it goes wrong, he gets dismissed after the Leeds game. The new man comes in. He's got a month. He's got a month until the January transfer window. He'd come in at the start of December. He's got 3-4 weeks to work with the squad he's got, evaluate, work out who he wants to move on in January, who he wants to bring in January. A couple of winnable fixtures on the table, away to Wolves, at home to Everton. It would be a good situation to bring a new manager in. However, this isn't a normal season. This is a completely unique season. If we were to decide, let's give Moyes the next 3 games, we're into the January transfer window. That Leeds game is in January. That is where I get a bit worried, because I think this 6-week period is incredibly important, and they have to decide now. They've got to decide in the next week. They could probably take a week to decide this, the board, as to what they're going to do. Are they going to back Moyes, or are they going to dismiss him, get someone else in, and then the new manager would have 3 weeks until his first game in charge of West Ham, which is a long time. It's as long as you're never going to get longer during a season at a Premier League club before you have your first fixture as manager. Well, I don't know, the Wolves one hasn't he, technically? He's had longer because he didn't take charge of the first 2 games, did he? He took over and said, you do the first couple. Arsenal at home, don't fancy that one. You just continue, I'll watch from the stands, and then I'll have my 6 weeks. So technically, I guess, the Wolves managers had longer than that 6 weeks. But you get what I'm saying, I think. This 6-week period, we've never seen it before, we'll never see it again. And it presents, I guess, a good thing and a bad thing for the board, a good thing and a bad thing for David Moyes. Because if they decide to stick with Moyes, and there you go, Moyes, you've got 6 weeks to get it sorted, to fix it. So you come back on Boxing Day, but you've bloody got to make sure, and this is the risk the board are taking here, because if after 2, 3, 4 games you decide actually Moyes ain't going to turn this round, we're going to have to get rid of him, we're now halfway over the season, we're going to have to dismiss him. Well, you've just missed the best chance of doing it. You're now bringing in a manager during a transfer window when the fixtures are coming thick and fast. The European competition's all of a sudden only 6-7 weeks away. It's a difficult situation then. This period we're in is an incredibly unique opportunity for all clubs, not just West Ham, for all clubs to reevaluate where they are and decide if they wish to dismiss. You've got Everton with Frank Lampard at the minute. They'll be having the same conversations. What we're going to do with him? Are we going to sack him? What we're going to do? But if they do decide to keep him, I always say back or sack, and I will always say that. And that is, if January comes round and Moyes is still here, we need to back him. Now, it doesn't mean giving Moyes the money. It doesn't mean saying 20 million, there you go, Dave, go spend it. It could be, Rob, there's your 20 million, work out, I say work out, they should know by now what Moyes needs in the January transfer window. Go get what Moyes requires in the transfer window. Because I'm not 100% sure, I say 100%, actually, you won't convince me that Moyes is in charge of the transfers. The profile of the players we're bringing in doesn't really look like Moyes type players. And I guess this is the problem, isn't it? Is Moyes is a manager, whereas we're sort of moving away from that and we're almost going down the Brighton road to some extent, which is, can we have a head coach, please, who doesn't deal with the transfers? We deal with them, we present you the players, you've got to make it work. But that's a conversation for another day. This is about the messaging from the board. And I'm just worried that we've got this unique opportunity now. And we're going to do nothing. We're going to dither, not Dave, well actually Dave, but Mr. Sullivan rather than Mr. Moyes on this occasion. And it's just, I'm worried. I am worried. Because like I said, normal circumstances, giving him another 3 games, it's not the end of the world, I get it. But this season, because of that gap, it's not straightforward. It is not straightforward as that. And coming away yesterday, like I said, I was just sad. I was resigned to the defeat. My anger was gone a little bit, and a couple of people said, "Oh, that's not good, is it? I'd rather you were angry," but I just wasn't angry anymore, kind of thing. And it's not a good time at the minute. Just not just the league table, but the circumstances we're in. There's rumours about Mark Warburton going around as well, which doesn't help whatsoever, and would explain a few things, I guess. But it's just a very unhappy camp. But the other thing I was going to say, and this is just my own theory, I think part of the reason a lot of fans are getting a back up about David Moyes, or they were grumpy heading into yesterday's game. Maybe I put myself in this category too, and that maybe that's what's been making me grumpy all week. Because I know Moyes is safe. Because I know that regardless of what happened yesterday against Leicester, I knew Moyes wouldn't be getting sacked. I am sitting here right now, I am confident Moyes will be the manager for the Arsenal game on Boxing Day. I feel very, very confident he will be. Whether I like it or not is a different question. The question is, do you think Moyes will be the manager against Arsenal? I'm saying a strong, strong yes. And I think that's part of the reason where I've been grumpy this week, because I don't feel his job is being questioned by the board. Well, I think there's something going on, but I don't think he's going to get sacked. I think we could have lost 4-0 yesterday, and he wouldn't have got sacked. No, I think, like I said, not watched it back yet. But when I was at half time, I was thinking we're playing a bit better today. However, it goes back to the fact that we've conceded after 8 minutes. Had it been 0-0 until 40 minutes, I don't think we would have played quite like that in the first half. But regardless, what I'm trying to say is I felt a bit of an improvement yesterday compared to Crystal Palace. Enough of an improvement? Not really. Well, I mean, no, we lost. So it wasn't. I don't remember Ward having to make a save, bar Ben Rama and Skamaka's long rangers and Paqueta's awkward header. I said I wasn't going to talk about the game. Right, Let me get back. I know I'm rambling, but like I said, I think part of the reason I've got a bit grumpy is because I know he's got this job regardless of what happened yesterday. But what I will also say, I was speaking to a few people before the game yesterday, and Steph said to me, do you know how they're putting out these messages that Moyes is safe? I said, yeah. She said, well, they also feel like they've got to put these messages out. So what is the reason for that? Is it because they know the fans are unhappy? Is it because, I mean, it'd be hard not to with the booing after the Crystal Palace game, or is it because they feel Moyes isn't doing a good enough job and they're just reaffirming that they're behind him, although perhaps they're not, kind of thing? And this is where it gets awkward. But like I always say, you've got to back or sack your manager. And I'm already looking at the January transfer window. I can't help it. I'm looking at the January transfer window. I'm thinking we need a right back, regardless of who the manager is. We need a right back. And this is where it gets crunch time, because would you back a manager that you're not sure on? On the 1st of January, can the board get their checkbook out and say, right, let's get this player in, here you go, there you go Moisey, there's your player, go get him, when they're considering that in a week's time he might not even be the manager of West Ham? And this is the problem we're in. And I know I was only discussing hypothetically this, he's got 3 games to save himself. It's the last thing I want to hear, by the way. It is the last thing. I hate it. There's nothing I hate more than a manager that's got X games to save his job, because the ending is inevitable. You've already decided to do that. You've already decided that he's not good enough to be the manager of West Ham, because if you felt he was, you wouldn't be giving him a 3-match threat. Say you've got 3 games, save yourself, oh, you're out, kind of thing. No, you'd be saying, you're the manager of West Ham, you carry on. But as soon as you start having to give him 2 games, 3 games, 4 games to save his arse, you've already decided he probably shouldn't have been the manager of West Ham, in my opinion. That's how I always see it, and I hate it. I hated it under Pellegrini, I hated it under Slaven Bilic. It's just delaying the inevitable. You've got the can, which is sack the manager, you're just kicking it down the road and thinking, we'll deal with it in a couple of months, This squad is a good squad. This team of players that we've got, a manager coming in to keep him in the Premier League, it wouldn't be difficult. Assuming we got the appointment right, it would not be a difficult job. It's quite feasible that come, what are we on, 14 games, 15 games now, I think we're on now. Come 28 games into the season, with 10 games left, we'll be 12 points clear of relegation. It's possible. It's very possible. We have good players at this club. We ain't getting the best out of them. We're not getting the best out of them. That's the problem. And I said about when we sacked Pellegrini, I thought we've got a good enough team to stay up. We have a good enough team. Was it as good as today's team? No. But back then there was worse teams than there is in the Premier League today. It wasn't a difficult job for Moyes to keep us up, in my opinion. I've always said that. Again, same with Moyes' first tenure taking over from Bilic. I mean, that was probably the most difficult of the 3 today, the last time in before. But again, we had decent enough players to stay up, and he did well to keep us up. But that's it. That's why I don't think he did. I'm far more impressed by Moyes leading us to 6th place in the Premier League than I am him keeping us up in either of his first 2 tenures, if that makes sense. We're in a position right now where we're not dead and buried. We're heading in the wrong direction, though. I think the phrase I've seen it used a lot in the last night is sleepwalking towards relegation. And I think, as a generic phrase just to throw into the video, I think it's a fair thing to say. I've been worried for 2 or 3 weeks now, but that's why I did that video 2 or 3 weeks ago saying it's a 13-team relegation battle. And while some people agreed, some people really disagreed, and I understand that. But today, 2 weeks after making that, I'm even more certain. I say 13, you know what I mean? There's a couple of teams now you look up and you think, they'll be fine, they're not going to get dragged into it. But this season is unique for 2 reasons. 1, this 6-week break. 2, everybody's capable of taking points off everybody. Forest beat Palace yesterday. The last thing I wanted to see yesterday, we got beat, I left, went down to the boat, sat down, started speaking to Tom about the game and stuff, and I did the video for the forum channel. I hadn't looked at the results of that. I knew the half-time results because it came up, but I didn't know the results. So when I was sat down, Tom said, Forest beat Palace. I thought, oh, piss. What? I mean, that just makes you feel even worse. That team that got their first away win of the season against you last Sunday has just gone and got beat away to Nottingham Forest. So that's plus 3 points for Forest, and it's another reminder of how poor we were last Sunday. It feels, at this minute, it feels anybody's capable of beating anybody except us. Except us. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I'm a West Ham fan. Of course I'm going to be more dramatic when it comes to West Ham. But it just feels that if we were to play next weekend, I'd go through 9 fixtures of the Premier League going, oh, that's a tough game. Oh, that's a hard game. Oh, that's a hard... I'd get to the West Ham one. Obviously, it's away to Arsenal. I'd go, ha! Well, 3 points to Arsenal. There you go. And I don't like it. I just don't like it. You know, you see Brentford winning in the last minute against Man City yesterday. Now, I didn't watch the game, but I've seen the result, obviously. But it's one of them you think, well, we're never going to do that, are we? We're just starting at home, perhaps, but away, no chance. Anyway, calm. I'm recording this video very early so that I can go watch the football today, enjoy my day, and then tomorrow got the player ratings to do, and I'll watch the game back before we do the player ratings and start doing another video for yet tomorrow, and start working on content for the rest of the week and for during the World Cup. And like I said, I want to do like a podcast style video with Gonzo about David Moyes and his future and stuff like that, because it's just easier for me to get my thoughts out as a conversation piece than speaking to a camera, because sometimes I forget what to say and I go off on tangents, which is easy. Anyway, if you've somehow enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll catch you tomorrow.